I'm Susie Kitchen, Director of Education at Roberson Museum and Science Center, and on behalf of our HistoryCon team, we welcome you to consider all of our unique own paths through history. As we continue on our path today, it is with gratitude and humility and respect that Roberson Museum and Science Center acknowledges that we are learning, speaking, and gathering on the ancestral homelands of the Onondaga Nation, which is part of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, who are the indigenous people of this property. As stewards of this land, we are honored to display the contributions of this nation and its people that have made and continue to make in art, history, and science. Exits are here, here, and here. Silence all devices. Our next presenter is Denise Tsadeyohdi. She's right here. Denise Tsadeyohdi Waterman. Denise is a Haudenosaunee Oneida Nation citizen and Turtle Clan family member. Ms. Waterman has served as a teacher and mathematics specialist for nearly 40 years at the Onondaga Nation School. In 2016, she was awarded the National Indian Education Association of New York Award for Teacher of the Year, and the National Indian Education Award awarded her the National Community Service Teacher of the Year in 2014. Ms. Waterman co-founded the Onondaga Nation Education Organization, Onondaga Nation Minor Athletics, and Onondaga Nation OLA Junior Lacrosse Advisory Board. She's a member for Ongwe Sports and is a founding board member of the Iroquois National Lacrosse of the Haudenosaunee Confederacy. During her tenure as executive director of the Iroquois Nationals Lacrosse team, 2010 to 2015, she wrote, established, and negotiated the 2011 FIL merger initiative for the Haudenosaunee regarding the full nation membership for all our people within the World Lacrosse Organization. She is widely noted for winning the bid to host the International 2015 World Indoor Lacrosse Championships on native lands under her auspicious executive director. The World Lacrosse Incorporated, an international sporting organization, has awarded Ms. Waterman the International Spirit of Lacrosse Award in 1998, 2007, 2011, and 2016. Her colleagues say the sustainability and future of indigenous sports are protected thanks to the vigilance and character and truth of Denise Waterman. That is the energy, the positive leadership, that is the inner wisdom that provides us a view beyond ourselves at no expense to others. Denise's educational background includes a bachelor's from Oswego, New York, master's education, and certificate of advanced study in educational leadership, and she is in the executive leadership doctoral program at Lemoyne College. Denise family members are Lawson, Maddox, Cone, Kimura, Tia, Gawa, and that means thank you. What does this mean at the end here?
Oh, Donito. Yeah, that's it. That's the end. Yeah.
Donito. That's the end. And this is, Denise was just recently installed in the North American Indigenous Athletics Hall of Fame. So we welcome you and we appreciate hearing you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yawa are all the derivatives of thank you in the different languages. If you know, Yawaha is Onondaga, so they put like a ha at the end, which kind of, to me, always feels like it's seems like it's stronger. Basically, everybody else says Yawa, so Yawa is pretty universal among the Haudenosaunee people. I might try a different thing next. This one. Yeah, this one feels better. The other one, sometimes the cloth is too close. As I mentioned, today is, kind of like the beginning of summer almost, but feels a little chilly for a summer day. I guess I'm just wondering, like, what kind of summer traditions are something that you might do or make you feel good. And you know, we could just go around the room. I want to say mine would be picking strawberries.
My favorite used to be looking in the fields for artifacts.
Mm-hmm. Oh, good.
I would say when the carousels open up, like Rec Park Carousel, the local history.
Oh, that's right. There's a number of them in the area, right?
6 of them.
Great, yes.
Working in my little garden patch.
Mm-hmm. Let's get in for that.
My family has a lot of picnics in the summer.
Oh, yeah.
Barbecue.
Yeah, that's always the season.
I like to camp with family and friends a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I stay inside, I don't like the heat, so I have the air conditioning on and do puzzles.
Puzzles are good. Puzzles are mathematical patterns, right?
I like outdoor music events.
Mm-hmm. Hey, all right, sounds good. One of the things that happens in our philosophy is what is it that we concentrate on that makes us feel good? So I'll tell you just a little story. So my aunt Goyani, who has now passed on, you know, we used to ride around, I would take her different places, and so we would talk about different things about our culture. And I would say, what is in our culture that we do for, well, now the trend word is like social emotional learning, right? Social emotional healing. And she goes, oh, there's so many things. And she said, remember, it's everything that makes you feel good. It's those recollections, those memories of something that makes you feel happy, and that whenever you think of this thing or things, you never feel sad. And she went on to explain, like picking strawberries, like when you, well, wild strawberries, you know, it would be almost like when you move the weeds and the brushes away, and you see that first red strawberry, that she goes, the happiness that you have at that time can carry you through many things. So I would say many things that we feel, it makes us feel good, makes us happy. You know, I think we need to, you know, treasure those. And when we are in a situation where we need to feel those, we need to, like, that's what we call like our bundle. You know, that's when we take them out and use them to help in our own personal healing. So that's just a little something that they did. Can I use this? Do you think this will work or no?
Sure.
Oh, we'll see. Okay, so Haudenosaunee, people of the Longhouse philosophy. And this is a little different in that people of the Longhouse is what they use, is how it roughly gets translated. But if we had a Haudenosaunee dictionary, Longhouse would probably have about 4 or 5 entries. And so saying Longhouse is one of many different meanings. So it could be the physical structure, it could be a group of clans, it could be like where you sit in a facility. It also means, like, so if I go to the doctor's office and they always ask, like, you know, what's your religion? I write down Longhouse as my religion. And so it has a lot of different meanings. Also, for our New Year's time, it's a way that we divide up. So I added the word philosophy because I wanted it to be a little bit more than just people of the Longhouse. I didn't want people to think about it's just a building. It's it's a imaginary building as far as like, it's a structure and it's broad and it takes care of us. And not just a physical structure, but a mental and, philosophical structure. So, I'm gonna excuse myself from some of the photos seem to be blurry because I got them off the internet. And, but these are some girls dancing. Does somebody have any idea what dance this is? Some of you that might be experts in HAUDENOSAUNEE. Okay, so this one is called smoke dance, and it's kind of like a competition. It's kind of it's music that speeds up and slows down. So you have to dance fast and you have to dance slow, and you have to know the song because it'll stop abruptly. So the big thing with the competition is stopping. So, but the girls usually wear these tops, you know, that will open up and swirl, and boys also dance, and they can dance at the same time. They usually don't compete against each other, but you'll see this as a popular, I think if you go around to different craft, you know, festivals, this will be one of the dances that they do. This is done all through HAUDENOSAUNEE territory. So one time I went to the Grand Canyon, and you know, I was at the counter, the gift shop, and there was a Navajo lady who waited on me, and she asked where I was from, and so I told her I was from, you know, the New York area, HAUDENOSAUNEE. And she goes, oh my gosh, she goes, we just want to say thank you for the smoke dance. And so they use it in their competitions, and I guess they have a lot of fun. So it was kind of nice to share that. Let's see. All right, so this is the HAUDENOSAUNEE passport, and this one's mine. And the passport is the application that we have. It's one of the applications that we have where we declare our sovereignty as HAUDENOSAUNEE citizens. And so I'm a HAUDENOSAUNEE citizen. You know, I have my passport. It you know, have my name on it and what nation, what clan I belong to, and of course my birth and whatever. And so I have traveled with this, and I think I have been to a lot of countries. I've been to, let's see, what was the first country I went to? You know what, the first country I went to was Turkey. And I was in college, and there was like a student study of international religion, and I went to Turkey. And so I didn't travel with the group because when I first went through, they wouldn't, I couldn't get through customs, so then I had to go back to the consulate in New York City, and then there they stamped my passport, so I got there. When I got to Turkey, I didn't speak Turkish, and so, you know what, I made sure that I wore my hair braids. And so when I got there, I had to draw a map. I drew a map of North America, and I drew a map of like where I come from. And then they were looking at it, and then, what did they call me? They might have earpiece, no, I think they said like, Red Indians, I think that's what they called me. And, of course, when you're in the middle of customs, I'm not gonna, like, you know, I'm not gonna say like, absolutely not, nope, you know, like, I don't know I don't know how people are at customs, but for me to go at customs, I just let them talk. I never try to make any waves, you know, never try to like, you know, argue, you know, you argue, usually you're out. So they figured it out, and then what they did was like, they took me to all the offices at the customs area. So I had to go over, and I had to shake hands with everybody, all the you know, people in the offices. So that was kind of nice, and they were really glad. And they said like, I think you're the first person that, of your people that has been here. But I think there has probably been people over the years. But anyways, I have never traveled on any kind of other document. So I've been to, Turkey was the first one, so I've been to Geneva, Switzerland, different parts of Switzerland, been to Switzerland, been to England, been to, Czech Republic, Finland, and then, you know, of course, Mexico when you go on holidays, you know, and Japan, and I probably equally denied as many entries at their different locations. One time, I wanted to go to Kathmandu, and it was going to be like a special recognition, and they were going to take, oh gosh, they're going to take like an elephant ride up into the temples, and I got invited. So, but then there's no airports in Nepal, so you had to land in India, and India wouldn't let me in, you know. Oh, I tried so hard. But anyways, having a holder of this passport, I know that sometimes I don't get to do what I want to do. You know, it's like I go where they welcome me, and if I can't get in, I don't cry over it. You know, I probably get a little disappointed, but I know that's part of, I guess, like the badge that you wear. You know, and it's like with everyone. And I know that sometimes it's hard to explain it to American and Canadian citizens because they don't quite know what that is. And so, when we travel across the border, well, not a little bit better because once Canada closed down the border because of COVID, I think everybody got a little taste of how my normal life is when I cross borders. You know, you have to have, you know, extra identification, you might have to go to, you know, you have to acknowledge them ahead of time and whatnot. So, but I am, you know, proud to use, you know, or take part in the application of HAUDENOSAUNEE sovereignty with this passport. So I'll just leave it there. So back, back with the girls' dress. So this is called a collar. My school secretary made it for me. And so I'll wear it to ceremonies, you know, special events, and so this is the top part of an outfit. And these are, you know, the beaded moccasins. There's a lady, a Mohawk lady, who makes them. And I mean, there's a lot of people that make them, but she makes nice ones. And so I ordered a pair from her. So people would say like, well, okay, I'm just gonna tell you the standard price. I wanna say these were $400. So, you know that if you want a nice moccasin, you're gonna pay a little bit of money, and then usually the tops, I mean, these can go up to like $1,000. So, beadwork has gone up, which is good because people who have special skills should get paid for it, you know. So, so that's a little bit of that. So, the design around the passport cover. Anybody recognize anything? I mean, yes.
Is that the white pine tree
Yeah.
of Onondaga?
Yeah. Well, it's the white pine, and it's the pine. It's considered like the tree of peace. The white pine is. Trees are so important. Trees have their arms out, and they acknowledge the sun and the air, and they help protect us. They also are caretakers. I mean, they're caretakers of our information. and they're also rooted in the soil. So we believe that the earth is a living entity, and so the tree's roots into the earth, and then they also help in the keepers of the knowledge. So how would that work? Would be like, if you take a walk into the woods, we believe that there's, and I think everybody's felt that, when you go into the woods for a walk, you're at peace. There's such good energy from the trees, and we also feel that they, of course, they communicate with each other, but we feel that there is a communication, and that sometimes they're the holders, they're almost like the grandfathers of information. So, which is another philosophy altogether, depending on how far you want to go, you know, with understanding about different entities. So, trees are very important. When you see a tree, there's nothing more visual than a tree is peace. And something else, you know, like the pine needles are really good tea for respiratory, and the pine needles also, if you steep them so that it's a heavy steep, you can use it for like bites or like poison ivy. So I use it for poison ivy, it works wonderful. Just a side note on a little bit of that, okay? And then around it are well, can everybody tell, like, these are animals. Anybody guess why there's animals there?
Clans?
The clans.
Yeah,
You
clans.
said the different tribes.
Yep, they're clan families. So I think this is like a snipe, a bear, an eel, a turtle, I mean, that's the eagle on top, but a deer, a beaver, a hawk, a heron, and a bear. And those are the clan families of the Haudenosaunee. So everybody belongs to one of these families. If you're a member of one of these families, so I'm a turtle. And so as I travel, there are turtles in every one of the other nations. They are part of our family, and considered like our brothers and sisters. So for example, so in our traditional ways, if I fall in love, I cannot fall in love with another turtle, because that person is my brother. And so in our traditional religion, philosophy, that marriage would not ever be allowed. So sometimes, do people ever fall in love? Yeah, they do. You know, they usually go to the, outside justice of the peace, I guess, which is kind of sad, because if they come back into the Longhouse, their marriage is not recognized. So just, and that still is really strong today. So even though sometimes people look at it as being in the past, I'll try to stay closer. Being in the past, we still have many traditions that are very strong and still continue to this day. And each one of the nations has this, so these men that are going around represent 50 chiefs, and that's the number of chiefs between all of the different nations together. Okay, so Haudenosaunee expanded influence. So today, I guess if you were to look up a map, and what's really nice is that you can actually type in Haudenosaunee today, whereas I would say, 20 years ago, you had to type in Iroquois to get any information about it. So what's nice is that it has evolved, and so now you can type in Haudenosaunee. And the Haudenosaunee have had influence throughout North America, and especially through the Northeast. And so, there were hunting lands that were common, and there were hunting lands that were kind of governed by the Haudenosaunee, more like taking care of them. And so I expanded them across, North America to show that, at one point we had influence on a lot of them, and I wanna say we still have an influence. So even though, we don't populate a lot of these lands, we still have an influence among the different native people that live in these lands still today. So one example is, you know, this, I mean, they know us as the people who travel on their own documents. And they acknowledge us for that, and they respect us for that. And then the next question in your mind should be like, how come everybody doesn't do this, you know? And there are many reasons why, and, maybe we'll talk a little bit about that. Any questions? Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Could you have dual citizenship where you have a passport from the United States and one from the?
I know, having been part of sporting, okay, I only have one passport, but, we have many individuals who have a Canadian passport, American passport, and a Haudenosaunee passport. And I don't condemn them in any way. I mean, I think sometimes you need multiple documents. I mean, you have to move around, and it comes in really handy, like, if there's a meeting in China, well, we need somebody, you know, like, if I can't get through on this, but we still need to go to the meeting, then I'll call on somebody who's got a couple other passports and to get to the meeting. Now, that's my philosophy. I would say not everybody believes that, but I do feel like, can be a useful tool. So the next one is, the words before all else. And, it's kind of a common saying, words before all else. So those are the words that, remind us about our character and ethical behavior, for yourself and for the people around you. And it's done, for every meeting and for every ceremony. So when we have meetings, so the Haudenosaunee still meet, and they still have grand councils, and they still get all the nations together, and they meet every so often. It won't be an official meeting if this is not done. So this is almost like the oral stamp, that official meeting has started and ended, and that the things that happen in between are official. And so many times, it's also called the Thanksgiving address, it's also called the Thanksgiving opening or the closing. Do you have this, in your exhibit, this,
Something
thing?
something similar.
Something similar?
Oh,
Okay.
we are one mind, I think that's what that one is.
Okay, so,
One mind.
this one I think is by the, Syracuse Peace Council, and they sell this one in kind of like, you know, I don't know, we split it 50-50, they keep 50% of the funds and 50% of the funds go to, you know, the Haudenosaunee for education purposes. And so the Haudenosaunee Environmental Task Force, which is, an official committee of the Haudenosaunee, developed this book, with, before the, Environmental Protection Agency, PA. They worked with them to do this. A few books. Okay, that was one book. Another book is, this is my all-time favorite book. It's a children's book, but it's also a good adult book. Because so many people will say like, you know, what is the Native American philosophy? What is the Haudenosaunee philosophy? And, you know, like, wow, if I start now, I could probably tell you in a few weeks, but in a nice, sweet book this kind of takes it, and the images are beautiful, and I think by the time you end, you get a taste for, the philosophy of the HAUDENOSAUNEE. Written by Chief Jake Swam, you know, has all sorts of awards, it's beautiful. And then, okay, we did words before all else. There's another one that's called, Being Indian by, John Mohawk, which is another good book, to read about the HAUDENOSAUNEE. I'm gonna share this one. This one is called HAUDENOSAUNEE Past, Present, Future, and it was done in like 1983. And it was developed as a history handbook of the HAUDENOSAUNEE, for schools in New York State. And at the time it was going to be, rolled out to school districts, the, official, anthropologists of New York State, blocked this document. So this represents a document that we worked on that they blocked because we didn't see eye to eye on interpreting, who we are, I guess. You know, it's like, it's amazing. Well, you know what? Things are still out there. I mean, when it comes to documents and books, I mean, our history, and when I say all, you know, like, things are open and, acceptable, and then also things become very conservative. So it seems like we're in a conservative, you know, loop at this point. And so at this time, in 1983, it was a conservative time, and so the anthropologists blocked the document because they didn't agree. Part of the agreement is we do not believe that we crossed the Bering Straits. And so this book does support that. And we believe that we were always here. And I guess if you get into more philosophical events, you know, like, where did we all come from? Just to know that, you know, we pretty much have this stance that we were always here.
Is that acceptable to use in public schools today?
Yeah, it would be. I mean, it's acceptable. I mean, it's not, there's nothing derogatory in it or anything.
Right.
And a lot of the native programs that have history components use that book. And I think it's gonna get ready to be copyrighted, shortly, but still be, hooked onto a bunch of websites so that people can download it. But I was at a conference recently, and there was a whole group of people who had copied it and shared it, and they pick and choose out of it. It would be, educational wise, it would be a little outdated because education materials now, for school districts, have to be aligned with standards. This is aligned with standards, but they're the standards of like 1983. So like the state, you know, kind of has a cycle every 5 years. They kind of change, update, revise the standards, and so there are standards today. Since teachers in the classroom are, you know, under a lot of time constraints, most of the time the materials they pick up, they're gonna look to say, okay, does it have the, you know, 2022 standard, you know, a revised edition? And if it doesn't, then they'll probably put it to the side, right? And then they'll pick up something that's more current. People who are into modifying the curriculum for the classroom will use it and jump and broaden it and enhance it.
I appreciate that story of like 1983, New York State was they're blocking the history of a group of people in 1983.
Yeah.
You know, this is pre-colonization history, and they were deciding what your history was.
Right. I mean, so much politics, and I mean, we know how we should know how things roll. I mean, that is part of the real life that we all live in, and then it happens every day, and some days it happens more, and other days it happens less, but, so that is a document that just wanted to share with you that did happen, in New York State. Oh, okay, so, back to well, this is the official seal of the Haudenosaunee, and so there are 49 chiefs, 49 clan elders, and one chief, like executive officer almost. So that makes the 50. And the one person is called he's called a Tsadeyohdi. He's a person who belongs to everyone. So he's like, he belongs to every nation, every clan, and he doesn't have a clan mother because he's supposed to belong to all of us. So that's a little bit of a structure. That's the men that circle the area, and they represent all the different clans and nations within the Confederacy.
I have a question.
Oh yeah.
Is there a priority in terms of chiefs and clan mothers, or are they both equal?
Is there a priority?
Like, is a chief more important than a clan mother, or are they the same? You know what I'm
The
saying?
same, yeah. Yep. See, came up. So,
Okay.
so leadership comparison. So like in the United States, you have, like your political offices, your representative state, and you have your national, and really any man or woman can run for those offices, hold those offices. In Haudenosaunee, we have those like offices also, but there's a male office and a female office. And so it's equity. Whereas over here you can have, more men, which has been, and although the number of women involved in politics is growing and holding in offices, but in the Haudenosaunee, for every office there's a male and female component. And so I would say people over the centuries were interested in that sometimes and found that, we're influenced by that and wanted to continue that discussion. Is that helpful? Traditions, importance of corn. So corn has always been an indigenous food. It still is today. It's primary. This is at our school. We still gather the corn. We still have to dry the corn. You still breed the corn. Our favorite food. Over the years, we've done so many surveys and data collections with kids, in the community. Mush is the favorite food of, I would say the Onondaga community, but I think it's probably everybody. And it's kind of like a white corn that gets grounded up, and usually put maple syrup with it, and water. And it's kind of like it depends. Sometimes it's a little soupy, but a lot of times it has like a thick substance to it. Anyways, it's like our favorite food, and it's made from, the favorite one is made from white corn.
So did you have different kinds of corn?
Yeah, there's tons of corn.
Right,
Yes.
so it's not, like in the past, did you always have a white corn and multicolored
Yeah.
kernels?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's not a thing of our current, culture, that we all have this white corn, and I always thought that was just something that more of a recent addition, and traditional corn was multicolored and multi-kernel.
No, there's like a dozen different types of corn.
Okay.
There's corn that comes in little, there's like
Yeah.
popcorn. And what was interesting? So I went to a talk where Haudenosaunee farmers got together and were talking about planting corn. And so with this kind of corn, when you plant it, okay, you sort your seeds. However you sort the seeds and plant them is what your corn is gonna be. So for example, corn that is not, as pretty as some of the other kernels, if you take the biggest kernels and the most beautiful kernels and you plant them, that is what is your next crop gonna be. And so they're always into, classifying it, and it, different things turn into different kinds of foods, yeah. But I think they always felt like it was really interesting how, you could just, what you pick and plant is the type of corn that you're gonna get the next season. And so it's like, it's direct, it's not like an evolution, you have to do it for so many, years, it happens automatically. And we still continue some of our other traditions, games. I mean, we love games. I think we have lots of games. So games are part of our culture, our society, part of our ceremonies. Games are where people come, and whether they have differences of opinions, whether they have an argument with somebody else, whatever, when there's a game, any kind of game, it's peaceful. It's a peace. It's like, it's tradition of laughter, people working together, and so we always laugh like lacrosse. It's like there could be all different kind of opinions about whatever issues, in the community, and when it's time for a lacrosse game, everything is put aside and everybody goes to the game and is kind of like back to that one mind, everybody's together. So games are important. This game is called long ball. And what it is, anybody ever hear of long ball before? Okay, so usually we take like branches and they stick them in the ground. And so where this cone is would be like a branch, and there's one over here. And so then down here, on the other end, you see another cone. So the object of this game is, there's a bat and a ball, and you have to hit it. Everybody runs down and runs back, and that's considered one run when you get back. There's only one out. If you play, like, they have tournaments, and if you play, then there's like a certain amount of players, like 7 players, and play 21. With the kids, it's just kind of open, where we have it where you can have any amount of players, so they're gathered here. There could be 20, 30 people there. You only have 3 batters. You only have 1 pitcher from the other side. Pitcher stands next to the batter and shoots the ball up, but can also, as they shoot it up, they can also hit it down too, and to cause a different reaction on the bat. Only 3 batters, so when your team, if they didn't get a hit, the outfield just has to keep passing the ball around so that somebody can run until you get them out. Oh, and to get them out, you have to hit them with the ball. And so some people have no mercy, and some people are very good at it. So this is games are still played and continued, and really healthy part of our culture that we still love today. And Donato is how we used to say, that's it, come to the end. This is at a hill that we call Commissary Cleveland Road, and this is the Oneida Nation, and this is, the hills on the Oneida Nation itself. So, people have something that you're wondering about, or any questions?